Welcome to Confidential Cinema. I am Henry Confidential. We have another debate on our hands. This one is going to be a fun one because we have another Confidential Cinema crew member in Jen Kemp. It's going to be her first debate in a long time, at least to my recollection. I'm pretty sure she has done this a while. And then we have Brooklyn. He just helped me judge the last one, and now he's going to get his little toesies wet. So we're definitely curious to see how this one's going to go. He is already expecting this to go badly based on my co-judges I have, so we're going to prove that we can be unbiased. And with that being said, let me introduce them. We have my good buddy and teammate over in trivia, Jake Marangoni. He just got done losing in his debate against Nazario, which is all fun and game because it's part of the family. Jake, are you ready to judge again? You've judged one, you've played one, judge again. How do you feel?
I feel, and I can speak on behalf of everyone else, I am much better at hosting debates than actually playing in debates. I'm like the polar opposite of Cody, where he's at movie trivia, but a monster in debate, and I'm vice versa. So I'm happy to co-host.
Don't worry, I'm definitely keeping you under my wing, and we got some work to do. And then speaking of Cody, You've had a chance now twice to participate as well as Jake. You played in one, and then you've judged. Now you get to judge again. Clearly, we're doing regulars because we're trying to keep it consistent and show that we can, keep this consistent. So, Cody, you ready to judge this one and be unbiased?
Yeah, I hate Brooklyn Vale with a passion, and Jen Kemp's a Red Sox fan, so this is going to be really hard for me. But, again, just like going into paper, I thought Jake was going to win, and, how that turned out. So you have to sway me with the arguments, and Jake's 100% right. I am terrible at trivia, but
Yes, and so with that being said, Jen, are you nervous going into this, or did you prepare and you're just ready to kick Brooklyn's ass?
I have notes.
Ooh. Her notes are so appealing, we're pausing while we read them, because it's very blurry. There we go, and she's gone. So she didn't get that joke, and she'll see it on the review. Brooklyn, how do you feel?
I feel pretty good. I also have notes, but they are on my laptop. And I have actually beaten Jen before in debates, so
that ever aired?
That did air unedited. 3 hours of just some interesting quality content. But yeah, I'm excited. I like to practice strategy and whatnot, so I'm excited on Jen and heads up.
Yeah, there we go. And luckily for you, you can look at your computer with debating, so that's why this one's fun. So with that being said, we're going to start off with the very first debate, which is going to be Brooklyn's, because technically he's the favorite, because he has a little more experience in confidential debates. So we're going to let him decide. Do you want to open or do you want to close?
I'll close.
Okay, Jen, go ahead and start off first with Brooklyn. Let us know what your question was, in fact.
My question is, what is the best Jon Favreau movie?
All right, so Jen, 30 seconds. Hit us with what you got.
Okay, so I went with the Marvel classic Iron Man. Iron Man, it paved the way for the entirety of Marvel Studios, completely changed the landscape of box office cinema, and basically it became the cookie cutter, we want to say cookie cutter, but it became the model of what Marvel and really comic book movies in general should strive to be. It's really focused on its characters. It may have a weaker villain if you consider Obadiah Stane a villain, but I do not, because the real villain is Tony Stark.
All right. And Brooklyn, this is your question. Get you 30 seconds to open up.
All right, so I picked 2014's Chef. This is written, directed, and starring Jon Favreau, and is one of the most accurate depictions of chefs and chef life in general. He displays more passion for food in 90 minutes than a lot of people do in a couple of years. A great supporting cast with Scarlett Johansson, Robert Downey Jr., John Leguizamo, and a great father-son relationship as an interesting subplot.
All right, quick and to the point. That's what I like. So as we know, rounds 1, 2 in the main event, we're going to have 5 minutes open battle, so whenever you guys start off, 5 minutes, so.
Okay, so my one problem when he said that this is sort of the pave way for the MCU, you are correct, but I feel like there's no way that they can be like, oh yeah, we're totally making an Avengers movie based off of Iron Man. You definitely needed to see how Thor did.
But they did, because they had Nick Fury, so they had a plan. Basically, Jon Favreau allowed the characters to drive the action. He had the foresight to pick Robert Downey Jr. and know that this is someone that we can build a foundation to go further on down the line.
Allowed Tony Stark to build character. The supporting cast in this is not great, and Tony
Pepper
Stark
Potts is one of the few female Marvel characters that is actually a person. She is not just some window dressing for Tony. She is her own person, and she is actually the logic person inside this film. Whereas in Chef, there's Sofia Vergara and Scarlett Johansson there to look pretty, and that's kind of it.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Sofia Vergara is John Favreau's ex-wife, and they struggle with how they're a divorced couple. Molly.
She's in the movie for 5 minutes, so not exactly a struggle.
Yes.
So my problem with Chef is it's a fun movie, but how many times do people actually bring Chef up in conversation and have anything other to say than, "Oh yeah, it's good"? Meanwhile, Iron Man is something that is still one of the best Marvel films of all time.
Phenomenal dialogue. There's no
phenomenal dialogue. Quote something for me. I swear to God.
The relationship that is it quoted? No, but the relationship that you have with each character, with Jon Favreau and his son, Jon Favreau and
like the relationship with Tony
the monologue when he snaps,
and Obadiah, and
when Oliver Platt breaks him down because of the shit menu that he has, because of Dustin Hoffman, the way that he unleashes any fury that he has. A lot of people say that this is a sort of an answer to the response of Iron Man 2, and he got to take up years worth of anger and put that into that character. This is a phenomenally acted film by Jon Favreau.
That's true. However, basically, Jon Favreau's 2-hour rant about an industry that has made him a star. It is a rant against Disney, and he is still with Disney making films, Jungle Book, Lion King.
If you look at this from like a
arguing against what has made him famous.
It's not just a rant about how critics are awful, critics are awful human beings. There are actually a story behind it, how he gets this food truck and how he builds it and tours across the country and does these different things, and how he brings his son into the industry itself. This industry is not for everybody, and he gets his son to love food as much as he does. You see that love in the way that he practices these meals, how he puts passion into menus, and you see that demise and that struggle in the beginning of the movie whenever Dustin Hoffman says, we're doing the old menu because that's what we want to do, and Jon Favreau's relatively pissed.
He's and that's the same thing that happens in Iron Man, except to a greater degree. There is more importance in Tony Stark's arc throughout the film. He goes through an entire character change of his entire outlook on life. He goes from an arms dealer to someone who is trying to protect the world, and he becomes a better person because of it. Meanwhile, in Chef, he basically gives everyone the middle finger and says, "I'm going to go do my own thing." And yes, I'm going to have my son with me for once, but then after that, I don't really care. So
how does he give the middle finger to everybody? He snaps
because he snaps and quits his job at a restaurant that depends solely on his involvement, and then he just goes berserk and buys a food truck. Actually, it's Sofia Vergara that makes him buy the food truck. So he is really along for the ride, literally, because everyone keeps making decisions for him. So Sofia Vergara and John Leguizamo, they're the ones that actually give him the idea. Meanwhile, his son is there because he got dropped off on him, and yeah, the son is adorable, but he's just there.
The restaurant ran fine without him. He had to rediscover that love for food because he was so brought down by his treatment at the first fine dining establishment. Iron Man it relies too much on Tony Stark, and if you call Tony Stark
is the protagonist and the villain.
If you call Tony Stark the villain in Iron Man, Molly, stop. She's being nice. Doctor Strange then is the villain in Doctor Strange because Doctor Strange is essentially the same. He is, and Doctor Strange is the hero. There's no way that you can say Doctor
Strange is a carbon copy of Iron Man. It is. But it's to a lesser degree because we're not talking about Doctor Strange. We're talking about Iron Man and how well it succeeded in its idea.
You have to follow that same thing. If X equals Y, then X always has to equal Y. It can't be like X sometimes equals Y.
It's two different films. But anyway, we're talking about Iron Man in which it has...
Strange is a carbon copy of Iron Man.
Yeah. And it's a lesser copy.
Therefore, X equals Y.
And time. Time. All right, that was definitely very interesting. So we're going to start off with Jen for her closing arguments. Try not to just rehash everything you said. Just put it in a nice little box. You only have 30 seconds. And if you just remember, if you say anything brand new, just know that it could be used against you depending on what you say. Because he doesn't necessarily have a rebuttal, or he won't have a rebuttal to you. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, 30 seconds whenever you start.
So Iron Man it's the whole package. It has humor, it has heart, it has action, and it's Tony Stark. It's the beginning of a character that will progress throughout a series of films. And basically, it's a better character than Jon Favreau as Jon Favreau, complaining about the industry that made him a star. Chef is a good movie and forgettable because who really has watched it? Meanwhile, Iron Man is still in the conversation as one of the best superhero comic book films of all time.
All right.
Do I still have time?
You had 3 seconds, so it's not that big a deal.
No.
And Brooklyn, this is your question, so end strong, passionate, and we'll wrap up the first question.
Tonight, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers, Captain America the Winter Soldier. There's no way that Iron Man is still in contention of one of the greatest superhero films ever. Iron Man relies on Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. only. The supporting cast is meh. Terrence Howard is essentially jealous of Robert Downey Jr. the entire time. Molly Stock, she's being very nice. Obadiah Stane is a villain, and there's no way that they paved the road for the Avengers, because they need Loki from Thor to really make Avengers the movie that it was.
Okay. I was going to give you more time because, your dog, but it looked like you were solid where you were.
I think the dog brought up some interesting points.
Yeah.
She did, yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go first. To my surprise, this wasn't even close. You can see my notes here. I have Jen by a lot. I just feel like, I don't know if it was necessarily Brooklyn's distraction or what it was, and if that's the case, I'm very sorry, but I believe it wasn't even close. I feel like she was able to hit you on why her movie had better characters, it had a better overall story, and then she really knocked yours, how the main character wasn't even that interesting, how the plot wasn't even, he was the center focus, but he wasn't the driving focus, and if you take the passion out of it, overall as a concept, the movie isn't as interesting, and it doesn't have as much heart as it tries to, so I'm going with Jen by a lot. So I'm going to go with Jake first, because he has a little more experience judging with me. So what is your quick hot takes on this, and who you got?
Sorry, I couldn't find the button. Yeah. I have to, as much as I love Chef, I have to 100% agree. For notes, I had so much for Jen, and even against the movie Chef, I could totally understand everything that she said about Chef. For Brooklyn, I didn't really get anything against Iron Man except X equals Y. And then to be fair, Brooklyn had a good a closing argument, but for rest of the debate, yeah, Jen had it in the bag.
All right, so as 2 members of Confidential Cinema, we picked Jen, so let's see if Cody agrees with us or if we're biased pieces of garbage. Cody?
So Jen I even wrote damn Jen at one point because I was just like, everything that Brooklyn threw, she threw like 7 more at Chef. Like, I feel like she was on the set of Chef as much as she knew about it. I think Brooklyn just picked a real passion because he is a cook. He's a chef. He's done that work. So it's more of a passion, I think, and the distraction could have played a fact. But man, I think Jen really played her ass off in this round.
Yeah, definitely. So with that being said, first point's going to go to Jen, and then we are going to kick it over to her question now. Jen, let us know what you chose.
For the record, I really like Chef.
I also really like Iron Man.
If I didn't pick Iron Man, I would have picked Chef. So yeah.
I could tell in your arguments that you actually had seen the movie and you actually supported everything you said, and I was like, wow.
Okay. Anyway, because we are in the midst of the upcoming World Series, hence Red Sox shirt. Sorry, Cody. I chose what is the best baseball film, basically.
And then, so Jen, I'm assuming you're going to want to go second.
Yeah, I'll go second.
All right, Brooklyn. Let us know what is the best baseball film, and semantics aside, just describe what you're referring to with best baseball film. So as for us as judges, let us know what your approach is for best baseball film, whether it's the best movie that involves baseball, the best movie with the best baseball, like however you want, it's fine, but make sure you establish your approach so we can judge accordingly. So 30 seconds whenever you're ready.
All right, so I picked Moneyball. This is the film starring Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill, directed by Bennett Miller, and is written by the great Steve Zylon and Aaron Sorkin. This takes a concept that is really boring on paper, math and baseball, 2 things that are already boring, and it makes it actually a pretty interesting story, the way that how the Oakland A's have to rebuild with a low budget, and they have to win runs, and they can't really use anything Anything to buy.
All right, so good start. Jen, this is your question. 30 seconds. Establish your point and what you chose.
Okay, the right answer is 1989's classic Major League. It is one of the best sports comedies and just general sports films of all time. It is infinitely quotable. It is fun, but there is so much more inside it. It has humor, romance, social commentary, class warfare, and the cast of characters is phenomenal. The best that Charlie Sheen has ever been.
All right, both of you are short and sweet. I like it. So, just like last time, 5 minutes whenever you guys start, and just make sure, just want to reiterate, establish your purpose of what you're going for the baseball routine, just so we know how to judge it and your opponent knows how to argue it. So we don't care exactly what your approach is, just make sure you establish it. So whenever you guys are ready.
If I wanted to watch a movie about math, I'd watch A Beautiful Mind. I am not watching a baseball movie when I watch Moneyball. It's an Aaron Sorkin script. Granted, good script. But when it comes to baseball, this film is afraid of the sport that it's talking about. They spend more time in boardrooms than they do on the actual field. Brad Pitt's character is afraid to go to games. Like, the fans are going to just completely lose their minds in this film. Like, we're all afraid to actually watch the game.
But that's part of his character arc, though, because when you look at the Oakland A's and where they start, they're this team with a low budget. They can't buy teams, and they really villainize the New York Yankees like they should. And they take what is actually happening in baseball already. So if you're taking something that people don't really want to watch, and that people are currently watching now with the evolution of baseball, they did that well. They made it exciting and interesting. Jonah Hill steals a lot of scenes that he has.
Jonah Hill is Jonah Hill. I am sorry. That is
Jonah
all
Hill's
he is
not
in this
Jonah
film.
Hill. Jonah Hill's not a raunchy comedy actor in this movie.
He's a raunchy comedy actor trying to get a job. That's what he is in this film. But everything you just said about Moneyball is what happens in Major League. It is Major League trying to become something more than they can be.
So correct me if I'm wrong. In Major League, there's this bitch of an owner who's like, I want to move the team to Miami, so I'm gonna bring in these retired players and these nobodies, and I'm gonna make the team shitty. And so it's a feel good baseball story. You know what are better feel good baseball stories? Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, Angels in the Outfield,
yeah, all of those are better than Moneyball.
It takes a concept that's so fucking simple and like doesn't even really hit it out of the park. It's just sort of like a double that's like not even as fun. It's just like it's just. Did
you just say Major League isn't fun because you have no sense of humor if you think it's not fun? Okay.
These guys who need to win all the games win all the games. There's no twist to it. There's no turn.
There's so many twists. This movie, it's more about the baseball. There's actual baseball in it, unlike Moneyball. So you do get the actual playing inside, but it's all about the cast of characters within this team. They all are underdogs in their own way. We have retired players, we have people with injuries, we have people that never would have gotten a chance.
There's better underdog stories. Rocky is a better underdog story. Angels in the Outfield is a better underdog story. The
all of those things
content's been done better so many
League.
different times. And I think the reason why it sticks in people's heads is because of Charlie Sheen, who has a meh performance, whereas you look at people like Brad Pitt, like Jonah Hill, like Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Tom Berenger is actually the one that drives the whole thing, and he actually has
an arc as his first baseman who struggles to.
Moneyball actually tries to mimic Tom Berenger's arc with the Chris Pratt character, and granted, yeah, it's a real guy, but how do we actually model movies? It's after other movies because they're scripts. But Tom Berenger has, not only is he someone who thinks his chance is gone and he gets to actually have a final chance and lead all these new people, he's a mentor, he's a rookie at the same time, but he also has this romance. And at the end of the day, Major League is about the love of the game.
Nobody's really asking for, though. Who's that? Who's looking for a romance in like essentially a sports comedy?
All of the women that are being dragged to the sports movie. Like, meanwhile, Moneyball is just about statistics. How many people are going to get interested in the sport of baseball by watching Moneyball? I doubt it. It's just for people that are
already interested in the way that baseball. People are already interested in the way that baseball has evolved. So this is essentially a movie.
If that were true, then they wouldn't be making changes to the game as it is right now. There have made so many changes in actual MLB in the last year that can't be true, because it's become less of a game of Americana, because in Major League, it's all about the love of the game and the heart of the game.
Baseball is now, and that's what Moneyball is about. They said it's not about dingers anymore. It's about runs and how you get runs. It's about walks. It's about singles.
Moneyball is about the financial gains of MLB. It's about the commercialization, and it's not about the actual heart of the players. Meanwhile, Major League is all about the characters. Moneyball is about Brad Pitt and can't play baseball.
Moneyball is essentially saying that it's not even more about, oh yeah, this guy's a strong guy. He eats his spinach and beans. Molly, stop, please.
Yeah, it's the same with Major League. They all have to come up with new ways to make them succeed in this film.
How? Oh, we'll just do a training montage because that's the best way to.
That is a quintessential part of every sports film, and they do it the best in Major League.
Music montage.
Major League has one of the best actual gameplays of all sports films. Like that final game against the Yankees, there are so many moments for every single character to reach a triumphant arc.
So feel good. It's just like, oh yeah, because you're never.
Do you want to feel bad when you watch a sports film? I don't think so. Do you go to the $1 Million Baby and root for the stool? I don't. I go to root for the people.
In Major League, do you ever think, oh yeah, the Yankees
Time. Jesus fucking Christ. Holy cow. Okay. This one was a lot closer than the first round. No offense to Brooklyn on that one, but this one definitely brought the punches, and I'm definitely curious to see how we're going to round up on this one. So, Brooklyn, this was her question. You're going to go first, final 30 seconds, and just run one last reiteration. However you want to approach, what your overall point was, just make sure you establish that and, finish strong.
This is the best movie about baseball. This takes a boring concept and makes it an interesting story. Aaron Sorkin's script, Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Chris Pratt deliver an entertaining premise of how the Oakland A's have built up from getting no money and getting great players who get runs. Meanwhile, Major League is a simple concept. It's been done better by much better films and is remembered for Charlie Sheen and his Met performance.
All right, and Jen, final 30 seconds. This was your movie, so end strong, and let's see how it goes.
So Major League is a celebration of the game of baseball, America's game, and what it means to not only the players but the fans. It's about a wide cast of characters that all have an arc within it. It has humor, heart, triumphant victory at the end instead of just statisticals at the end. Moneyball, they sneak a little daughter in there just to try to eke some heart out of it, but it's a heartless film. There is more actual baseball in the movie Twilight than there is in Moneyball.
Alrighty. So, since I ended with Brooke, or I didn't get a chance to go with Cody last time. Cody, you're going to go first. Give us a quick wrap up of your thoughts of that and who you picking.
Oh, go fuck yourself for letting me go first. Wow. Two big things. It was such a great takedown from a baseball perspective, because that's one of the things that factored in. He said it was an evolution of the game, and I think Jen countered that with a really great thing that the game has changed so much more since that, but it's still gone back to the love and the heart and the passion of the game. So I have to go with Jen, but it's really, really close. It's not. I'm not saying. I think Brooklyn's main problem was he listed a lot of actors, but not a lot of delivery of what they did inside the movie. Jen mentioned more about the movie. That's my problem.
All right, and backtracking back over to Jake, what was your thoughts?
This is 51-49. It's really, really close. I liked that Jen was talking about what the film had. But both really talked about what the film has and what it's about, and they're very different movies, which made it really hard to choose which one is better. I mean, Brooklyn had good counters against Major League, but I really like that. Yeah, I'm gonna break someone's heart. I have to go with Jen, mainly because she talked about the game itself, sure, the evolution, but one thing I was waiting for was the characters and the character arcs. Despite the fact that I've seen Major League, the way Jen was describing the characters and how each of them have an arc throughout the end, I could totally understand that without seeing Major League. Brooklyn, unfortunately, just mentioned just the actors in the movie, didn't mention anything about the characters. The only thing really was Jonah Hill. But, yeah, 51-49 Jen.
Yes, and so Jen's going to get the point there. And just to show, this was real close. I had Jen by just a little bit. Brooklyn, I think you were missing some things. Like you could have talked about the scouting, you could have talked about the whole scene with the trades, and how the fact that a trade is thrilling,
the trade's the best.
yeah, and all that stuff. Like I feel like you could have really hit hard with the Fincher, the Bennett aspect and the Sorkin, where it felt like a Fincher movie where it was just thrilling. You were really involved in a world that on paper you probably should not have been. So I think that based on the fight and in theory should have destroyed her, given that your movie is way better and it's way better up there for me. But the fact that it was as close as it was, I think it was just the
Go
argument.
fuck yourself,
yeah.
Henry.
Yeah, I know. So
Exactly.
I forgot to mention Bob Uecker, and I feel so bad because that was like such a big thing when I was writing my notes,
Just
and I
real
forgot
quick.
to mention just a bit outside. That affected the actual game. Okay, like
It's
that
the
was
biggest part that I have with Moneyball as baseball fans that I have a few sitting here, that they never mention the three aces that team had of the Oakland A's, that they just think it's a bunch of losers.
Tim
but they
Hudson, Mark
literally had-
Mulder, and Barry Zito.
and Barry Zito.
Yep. Trust me, I that's one of my favorite movies, and I love it. So we could go on for days with that, but it's currently 2-0 to Jen. But luckily for Brooklyn, it's time for a blind fight. So maybe he can use this to really push the momentum back up to him till we get to the main event. So the blind fight. The question is going to be, not yet. Jen, you are in the lead. Please pick a number 1 through 5.
2.
2, and Brooklyn.
I'll pick 1.
All right, Jen. The question is, what movie hitman would you want to be your dad? And you chose number 2, and this one's going to be interesting because if you haven't seen the movie, you're screwed. You chose Brendan Gleeson from In Bruges.
Oh, I love that movie.
And Brooklyn, you chose number 1. You chose Tom Cruise from Collateral. So, of those two, which one would you like to be your dad? And if you need to do a little quick research,
I didn't hear Jen's
Brendan
choice
Gleeson
because
from In Bruges.
Brendan Gleeson. Okay.
So I'll give you guys a quick second to think, and good. Okay, so Jen, you were in the lead. There's no deciding this time. You're going to go first. So right off the bat, you have that advantage. So 30 seconds for your opening, and do as much research as you guys need in between.
Oh, my turn?
Yeah, when you're ready. 30 seconds.
I feel like I don't have to work very hard because Brendan Gleeson in Bruges is basically a father to Colin Farrell's character, so I would feel very safe with him by my side as a hitman. He is someone who, despite being an assassin, he has a lot of heart to his character and he cares about people. He does operate by a certain set of rules, and they seem to allow for everyone other than the person he's meant to kill to be completely fine. He's a gentleman. So I think he'd be a great father figure, actually, despite having a very strange profession.
Okay. And Brooklyn, hopefully you had the advantage now, having a little research time. 30 seconds opening up.
Tom Cruise as a dad would be an absolute badass choice. You think about how Tom Cruise is the villain and how he has this newfound energy and just the way that he's able to portray himself in this film opposite Jamie Foxx. You would feel cool having Tom Cruise as a dad. Like, yes, he'd obviously protect you as a great father that he is, but think about just like the way you could be able to brag like on the schoolyard, like, oh yeah, Tom Cruise is my dad. He'd kick your dad's ass.
All right, so as like I said before, this is a blind fight, so try and get as much reading and talking as you can, because you're only going to get 3 minutes this time, because we don't want any blabbering. So with that being said, when you guys start, 3 minutes.
If Tom Cruise's Vincent was paid money to kill his child, I am sure he would do it. Meanwhile, Brendan Gleeson's character, he cares about people. He would not do that. He actually sacrifices himself. Sorry, spoiler alert. He sacrifices himself for Colin Farrell because he believes it's the right thing to do in Bruges. So he would go above and beyond everything to save someone that he cares about. And I'd like to think that my father loves me. So yeah, I think he would take care of me. Meanwhile, Tom Cruise, yeah, it's cool to know Tom Cruise, I guess, but we're talking about the characters, and Vincent is an asshole. Okay, Vincent is a stone cold killer.
Vincent is an asshole, yes, because he doesn't have a filter. He doesn't need to bend backwards to everybody so that he does the quote right thing. If he has to kill a dog, he has to kill a dog. Meanwhile, I do not support animal cruelty in any way whatsoever, but he will do what he has to do to protect his son and his family. Brendan Gleeson just seems like I don't know. It's like, oh yeah, I'll do anything for you, but I won't do this thing, and this thing. He won't do everything.
He will die. He will kill other people. He will completely kill his boss and ruin his entire life to save someone that he thinks shouldn't be dead. Meanwhile, Tom Cruise is just out there to kill people. That is his one thing. He is like the Terminator. That is the whole character. You don't get any backstory into his person. Like, he's not a person. He's a robot, basically. Brendan Gleeson, he has an entire backstory about his wife, who he cared for very, very much, and created a relationship with his boss because his boss tried to help his wife survive. But then he's willing to kill his boss because he knows that deep down it's better for Colin Farrell to survive and have a chance at a better life than him continuing to live this life of killing people.
As a kid though, like you think about your friends and like how the hierarchy of like being like in the societal ranks is a thing. When you try to compare like Brendan, like whatever his name is, like he's Brendan Gleeson, like. Yeah, my dad's an assassin. Like he sacrificed himself, essentially committed suicide.
If you're a kid and you're telling people that your father is an assassin, Tom Cruise is killing your friends. Okay, you have no friends if you're trying to pull that one. Tom Cruise isn't going to be home. He's not going to be taking care of you. He's going to be off killing people because that's what he does. He kills people for money. Brendan Gleeson only kills people when he needs to.
Wants. Think about it though. Tom Cruise as like the salt and pepper hair, the blazer. He's gonna be a badass killing everybody.
Tom Cruise than the character of Vincent.
He's like the comic book hero that every kid.
He's not a hero. He's the villain. That's the whole deal.
But he's a badass though. The same way Deadpool kills everybody and anybody.
He's a badass in his own way. He's actually a very scholarly figure.
But think about it in this way: Tom Cruise is essentially the real life adaptation of Deadpool, minus the whole suit and cancer thing.
No, not at all.
Absolutely.
Okay? I don't know how you got there.
Time.
Deadpool has a sense of different character people.
Time. Thank God for this 3-minute thing. So with that being said,
I don't know where we were going on that.
Holy shit! Saved by the bell. All right, so Jen, you were gonna go first. 30 seconds. Sorry,
the Deadpool comment just blew my mind. Okay, Brendan Gleeson is someone that I actually would believe to be a father. Meanwhile, Vincent, I think if he actually had a child, he would probably track down the woman that he had an affair with and kill her, and probably the child as well. He is not a fatherly figure. He does not have a heart within the presence of this character. Tom Cruise is cool, I guess, if you like Scientology, but other than that, like, he'd kill you, man, and you would have no friends, and you wouldn't see him until like your 18th birthday. He'd probably show up and kill you, or he'd recruit you. I don't know.
Time. All right, Brooklyn.
Vincent is not a Scientologist. This is quote the fake news coming from my opponent's side. Yeah, sure, he's never going to be home, but think about the stories that you have of these missions that your dad went on. Be like, my dad did this. He did like a 360 no-scope on the sky. And think about it. As a kid, that's one of the greatest things ever. To be able to brag about how much of a badass that your dad is. Brendan Gleeson's just there. He just bends over backwards to do what's right. And think about that. Like, look at Captain America.
And time.
Like a father.
All right. Any of the judges? Do you guys have even a slight thought that Brooklyn has even seen Collateral?
Brooklyn has never seen. I literally wrote on my board, Brooklyn has not seen Collateral. I literally wrote it, and you can definitely tell because you just kept talking about Tom Cruise. Jin gave him the character name. It was so rough.
So is anybody opposed to giving Jen that point?
No. I'm sorry. I had so much for Jen, for and against. I had a little bit for Brooklyn, but
most of that was
really
comedy.
against.
Most of that Brooklyn was just because you made me laugh. And
No, it was
I
funny.
love the salt and pepper hair in the
with
blazer.
the Deadpool comparison? I have no idea.
I haven't seen either of these movies, so
I was going to say, I didn't sound like you had
Pick
seen
someone out of a hat.
Yeah.
You should have just tackled it. I don't know, but I started writing for Jen, and then Brooklyn started talking. I said, "Yeah, this is over." Sorry,
Brooklyn. If you've seen the movie, you'd know that the dynamic with him and Jamie Foxx, it just shows that maybe not necessarily dad, but you could have went at least the big brother route. So if he found a kid on the road like Charlie Chaplin, the kid that he can maybe adapt. You could have went there, but yeah, without seeing the movie.
He was trying to get Jamie Foxx to follow his dreams a little bit.
So there was the point. It was written for a reason, and yes, I feel bad that you didn't get that. Your other options could have been Joseph Gordon-Levitt from Looper, Leon from The Professional, and Samuel Jackson from Pulp Fiction. So
Leon's the best.
Yeah.
I would have fared out just as well as with any of the choices because I haven't seen any of them.
Watch Leon.
Brooklyn now has homework. So with that being said, Jen.
No Pulp Fiction?
I watched it and then I fell asleep like half an hour through because I watched it at like 1 a.m.
All right, so we have a new knockout rule. 3-0 is good enough for me after hearing that Brooklyn is falling asleep during Pulp Fiction. All jokes aside, but hey, just like they always say, 3-0, it's not impossible. What happened with you guys with the Red Sox and the Yankees? Didn't they come back from 3-0 or something like that once upon a time? So it's possible. And with that being said, we're going to talk about the main event, and that is what non-franchise horror movie best deserves a remake. And we have established that if it already has a remake, that is fine. You can do another one, but you have to be able to back that up and support why it best deserves a remake. So, Jen, you are in the lead. We're going to give you the option to go first, second.
Second.
All right, Brooklyn, let us know what you chose and start off 30 seconds.
Alrighty, so I picked, of course, a Canadian film, a Canadian cult classic, some that might call the beginning of the slasher genre. That is Black Christmas. This movie takes place in a sorority house right around Christmas time. This mysterious voice calls them. They're not sure who it is, and then they pick down certain people piece by piece. This needs to get remade for a couple of reasons. One, do not see mainstream Christmas horror movies, not since Kevin Smith's Krampus from 2015, and this has good source material to go off of.
All right, good start. Very got me in the mood for some Christmas, and I've seen the movie, so I don't want to get in the mood for what they're doing in Black Christmas. But with that being said, good job. Jen, 30 seconds when you're ready. Let us know what you chose.
Okay, I chose 1959's horror thriller A Bucket of Blood, and I feel like I have to give a little bit of explanation because I'm sure a lot of people haven't seen it. So basically, it's a horror thriller starring Dick Miller, which you probably know from like Gremlins, Terminator, a lot of stuff. But he plays a waiter in a beatnik cafe who starts killing people and turning them into art to impress a girl that he likes, and basically he becomes famous for these things that are basically made of people. Now, I would make a new version that is directed by the Coen brothers, starring Jesse Plemons as the bumbling nobody.
All right, good start. So back to the regular rounds. We're going to have 5 minutes. Hopefully we did some preparations for this one because this one could be very fun. Once I heard these choices, I'm like, this is either going to be terrible or really great. I doubt it's going to be in between. So when you guys are ready, 5 minutes.
Okay, so before my opponent brings up the 2006 remake, let's make something very clear. The studios did not have any faith in this movie whatsoever. The 2006 remake was directed by Glenn Morgan, who only had one credit, 2003's Willard, and the lead actress was Michelle Trachtenberg. So, we are going to do this right. We're going to have a studio put actual investors into it. A Bucket of Blood is one of the most misleading titles in horror history. Do you know why it's called A Bucket of Blood, Henry, Cody, and Jake? It's because there's one bucket whenever they kill what's his name, and they put him in the ceiling.
Film because it's a ticking clock.
So then why not call it clay? Like there's more use of clay and like how he coats everything in clay. Like you have to change so many different things
because A Bucket of Blood is a good title.
Sucks.
But anyway, it's just the
There's
title.
No way this is
and
ever.
And the fact that you're focusing on the title means that you don't have a lot to say about your actual movie.
No.
Because Black Christmas is really interesting. Okay, so Black Christmas, yes, it has a remake in 2006. It also has a remake back in the 70s. It's called Halloween. Yes, it was the beginning of the slasher genre, but it was the unsuccessful beginning. And Halloween is the thing that actually.
By many.
Yes, a cult classic that is a cheesy horror film that tried to do things but didn't quite get there. Meanwhile, Halloween managed to bring in the full package, and that's why that one survived. And Black Christmas has died.
Ask any horror lover where they put Black Christmas, it has to be in easily like the top 30.
I want to interject for a second. I just want to remind her the question is what deserves a remake. So this isn't a question of which is a better movie.
So A Bucket of Blood does not deserve a remake because you have to change so much of this.
You actually really don't because
so do you still call it A Bucket of Blood then? Because like you're
really focusing on The Bucket of Blood and it's title. You don't even have to keep the title.
No, listen to me for 2 seconds. Because when you hear A Bucket of Blood, as someone myself who is not a big time horror fan, when I hear A Bucket of Blood, I expect a little bit of gore, some violence of blood. In this, it's just like stab, hardly any blood at all. Like I'm disappointed as somebody who's expecting this at least a little bit of gore.
Okay,
It's
you are
just-
focusing
it's just-
your entire argument on the title, and the title doesn't even have to stay the same.
If you're gonna
Okay, so my
remake it, you
film
have to
is
use
the
title.
Coen Brothers, a established
Sure.
dark humor pairing
Go
that
on.
would really take this idea
Yes.
of.
And change it.
Wow, you're being really condescending right now.
They're
But it's
changing
Jesse
it.
Plemons
Yes.
would be the star, and it would also include Mia Wasikowska as the person that he is trying to win favor with, and Paul Dano as an artist. Now, basically, this is a socially conscious film because it has social commentary about the cannibalistic nature of
That's
art
the only
and
way
fame.
horror movies make. When a bucket of blood needs to be this gore fest, and it needs to
It
be
doesn't,
this
though.
two-tone
It's a
film
dark
as to
thriller.
how,
It is
as to how he hides, because it's very easy to
Your
hide
film-
these
okay.
bodies.
Your
It's very
film
easy to
is
hide
the
these
one that
bodies
depends on the
because
gore,
it's
and that is
play
really
with no
sad
blood or
because the slasher genre doesn't get used anymore because it's all been done. Okay, it is overplayed. It doesn't work in this society anymore because it depends on gore and jump scares. And when you ask actual horror fans what they're tired of, it's gore and jump scares. Now, a dark humor horror thriller can involve a lot more gore. Back in the 50s, yeah, they didn't show a lot of gore, okay?
So
But nowadays, they can.
So
So this would be something that could involve
the
a
way
lot
that a
of
remake has to be a
and-
remake is that you're going off of the source material. Where's the humor? Where's this quirky writing that the Coen brothers can go off of in A Bucket of Blood?
because it's actually focused on the ideal of fame and art being something that is they don't really care about how it's made, just more of the prestige of this is what's hot right now. And in this today's society, it actually is a lot more topical because we're so focused on becoming famous that we don't care what it takes to get there. This would be someone who is creating these murders and creating art out of it. And in the end, it would raise an interesting question because would people even care at the end whether or not they knew that this thing that is so hot right now is actually caused by human suffering? Meanwhile, Black Christmas is just about killing teenagers. There are so many films that are just about killing teenagers.
But that's what people.
It would be white noise. That's all it is.
How is it white? How is it white noise? You would set it in Christmas like it is supposed to be, something that doesn't.
You want a Christmas film. That's what you want. You want a Christmas film.
I want a Christmas horror film because it's different. It's because every Christmas film is like a feel good thing. We hardly ever see good Christmas horror, and Black Christmas is that example.
You know what? You know what's the fastest thing to get forgotten? It's holiday movies, okay? You're a gimmick movie.
Ooh, holiday movies are not forgotten. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, A Christmas Story, Santa Claus, Santa Claus 2.
You want to talk about Christmas movies? We're talking about horror remakes.
There's a reason why holiday films have a genre.
You want to make a horror remake is because you're either banking off of a...
Time.
Okay.
Alrighty, a couple extra seconds because I got lost in the arguments there. So, last 30 seconds. We already know how this goes. Jen, you let him go first. So, Brooklyn, you were going to start off, and 30 seconds when you're ready. It took me a minute to remember.
Black Christmas is a film that needs to be remade because of how they can evolve. How can they evolve the kills and how they can evolve the ending? In the original Black Christmas, they don't actually reveal the killer, which leaves a blank space to any possible director who takes on the franchise. They can twist it and make it different. With A Bucket of Blood, it's the ending. The ending is there. It's super. The title is misleading. The concept sucks. You have to change so many things to make it great. I know Jen is shaking her head, but she's shaking her head because I am right. The concept sucks, and you have to change so much to make it great.
All right, Jen, final 30 seconds, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, the only reason to remake a horror film is to either bank off money of an existing franchise or to create something that says something new. A Bucket of Blood could be a really interesting concept for great talent to come together and create something that's visually interesting and also ethereal. Meanwhile, Black Christmas is just stabbing teenagers. It's white noise. It would be forgotten within a month, not let alone a year. It's something that couldn't create anything more interesting than what it already is. Sure, it could have some more gore, but so could mine, but also have a good script.
Alrighty. Woo, that one. That was interesting. I'm going to go first here. So, Brooklyn clearly had a tactic from Jumpstart. He knew he had his back against the wall, and he was out fighting. I feel like he got in Jen's head, and I had a feeling that Jen was really prepared, but I feel like Brooklyn's tactic didn't allow her to utilize her argument, and because Brooklyn did have his back against the wall, I kind of appreciate the tactic, so I'm going to go Brooklyn on this one for my vote. So, Cody.
Yeah, he used one of my favorite debate strategies. pretty much piss them off when they're passionate about something and make them have to defend the entire round and show nothing against Black Christmas until the very end. But Brooklyn already bashed so much going into it. So I still think Jen does an amazing job countering as much as she could, but there was so much time that she had to defend the title, which Brooklyn knew that going in, and Jen just, instead of turning it and focusing on Black Christmas, Brooklyn took advantage. So Brooklyn gets the point.
All right, so Brooklyn goes alive, and we're going to go off the cuff. But, Jake, before we do that, let us know, do you agree with us? Are we crazy people? Or do you feel like Brooklyn just had his back against the wall and it shows that he's a fighter?
Well, you're crazy, but that doesn't mean that you're wrong. Yeah, it was. I like Brooklyn's strategy of poking the bear, and it kind of worked. But probably would have still given it to Jen, just based on I haven't seen either movies. I know just a little bit about Black Christmas, but the way she was able to tell me about the how she would remake it with Coens and Jesse Plemons, and I was just like, I could visually understand her movie better. But I still understand Brooklyn getting the point.
If I may interject one time, it's not a pitch question. It's what movie needs to be remade, not pitch or remake.
That's true.
But it was the reason for remaking it.
Yeah. It would have been used to support the argument. So I definitely you had a strategy, and for two of the judges it worked. So with that being said, Brooklyn is alive. It is 3-1, and we're gonna go off the cuff. So this very first question, it's gonna be an either or. So yell out your answer whenever you want, and this is open to interpretation. So don't overthink it. It could be, you can approach this any way you want. Okay. So there's two answers, but there's two different ways you can approach it. Just keep that in mind. So I don't want there to be confusion. It's not necessarily about the movie. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. First question: Johnny English or Mr. Bean?
Mr. Bean.
Sure, Johnny English.
All right, Brooklyn, you were first, so 30 seconds whenever you're ready.
One of the toughest things to do in comedy is to get people to laugh without saying anything. Rowan Atkinson is at his funniest as Mr. Bean because he says hardly anything. He uses his physical humor to get the laughs. Johnny English says things, but there have been better spoof spy movies. Cough, Austin Powers, cough, cough, cough. By a mile. I'm done. I'm seriously done. You can stop.
And time. All right, Jen, whenever you're ready, 30 seconds.
So Johnny English is basically taking all the success of Mr. Bean and then actually adding a script to it. When you have a framework where people can actually connect to it, going, oh, I've seen a spy film, I can actually understand the references and everything that's going on in this film. Mr. Bean is a very specific type of comedy that I think a lot of people do not connect with, especially if you're not British. Meanwhile, Johnny English, you can enjoy a little bit of that while also having more to play off of as a general movie-going audience.
All right, time. All right. Brooklyn, potential last 15 seconds. Go hard.
Yes, because physical comedy is such a niche comedy that everybody has to have an acquired taste for. Johnny English, if you're going to go see a spy movie, reiterate once again, go see Austin Powers. It's a better spy comedy. Mr. Bean has emotion and he has heart. You think about the Thanksgiving
and
special.
Time. I gave you a couple extra seconds. I forgot we were doing 15. So Jen.
So yeah, niche comedy, it's slapstick. You know when they did slapstick back in the 20s in vaudeville, okay? It doesn't really play anymore. Nowadays we want humor, we want actual verbal comedy along with a little bit of slapstick. When it's all slapstick, it gets really tiresome really fast, and I think that's why people don't have as much a connection between that as they do with something they can... Okay.
Alrighty, so off the cuff. This one was fun. It's open-ended. It's meant to just let a little steam off and clear the brain, and I feel like you guys did really good on that one. The question was either or, not necessarily the movie, and I feel like I really got Brooklyn why he enjoyed the concept of Mr. Bean more and why you were able to enjoy that overall concept of Mr. Bean, whether it's the movie or the character. So I'm going with Brooklyn by just a hair. Jake, let's go to you second.
Yeah, I have to agree. Brooklyn definitely gets this point. He mentioned one thing that I think took down Jen, which was the Austin Powers and the fact that was before Johnny English, and I just totally got more from Brooklyn and the fact that I had heart, and yeah.
All right, so Cody, would you have agreed?
Yeah, Brooklyn did a really good job of bouncing back. I don't like it when you don't use your full time because you don't know when that's going to bite you in the ass. but Jen said he didn't play, that comedy doesn't play, and we can see you guys. And Jen said, damn it, when he said the physical comedy thing. So she had to use her entire rebuttal on backtracking on that step. So Brooklyn gets the point.
All right, 3-2. It's going to be interesting. Potential comeback. So this one's an open-ended. So
I have seen neither of those films, and I do not care to, by the way.
Neither have I. And
that's glorious.
They're all amazing, even the John English films.
All right, so this is an open-ended one. So this one's a harder one, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So take your time, but also, take it seriously. What current comedic actor would be a good first-time director?
Jim Carrey. If he hasn't directed anything, I don't know if that's
we'll
something we need to look up.
So I'll fact check.
Steve Carell.
All right, we'll do a quick fact check just to make sure.
Steve Carell has done a lot of directing, I'm pretty sure.
For like The Office or for actual movies?
We're talking feature film, so that's
okay.
I'll look it up.
Jim
Carrey has 0, doesn't even have any short films, and then Steve Carell, he has 3 episodes of The Office and Aggie Trebek, so I'll accept both. Judges, do you agree or do you guys oppose?
I do have a backup answer if need be.
I'm fine with that because that's TV.
Yeah, let them go.
Film.
Okay, so we got Jim Carrey from Jen and Steve Carell from Brooklyn. So Jen, you went first, so once again, 30 seconds whenever you're ready.
Okay, so Jim Carrey is someone who has been in the comedy game for a really long time, and as a comedic actor, he has always been the driving force behind his films. Most of his things are off the cuff, so he always knows what is going to play when it comes to his comedy. Now, he has become more socially conscious nowadays, so I think he could have a lot to say about the new stages of comedy and what it means to be a comedian in this type of culture. Meanwhile, Steve Carell is becoming more of a dramatic actor, and I feel like he doesn't really want to do comedy anymore. Do I still have time?
And time. Alrighty. Brooklyn, whenever you're ready.
Can I just hear the question one more time?
Yep. What current comedic actor would be a good first-time director?
Okay. All right, as much as I love Jim Carrey is often a one-man show. Other than Jeff Daniels and Dumb and Dumber, which is a one-time thing, he relies on a lot of his own, once again, physical humor. Steve Carell, like in The Office, he has a lot of ensemble, and there's a very two-tone to his comedy where he can be dry, like he is in The Office, but he also has these outlandish performances like you have in Anchorman, Dinner for Schmucks. You have a more range, and yes, he is a dramatic actor, so we have more experience.
All right, so to put you guys on an even playing field, it's just director in general, so it doesn't have to be comedy. So just to make that clear. So because you guys both brought up the not just comedians, so I just want that to be even playing field. Final 15 seconds. What current comedic actor would be a good director? So yeah, 15 seconds when you're ready, Jen.
All right, so you said Steve Carell is a good dramatic actor. Have you seen Eternal Sunshine? Because that is one of the best films of the 2000s. Jim Carrey, he's well aware of what plays comedically, but he also has a deep soul within him, and he knows what can be brought out with a lot of heart and a lot of humor at the same time.
All right, Brooklyn, potentially, once again, your potential final time, so 15 seconds whenever you're ready.
Jim Carrey has one good movie in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Steve Carell has multiple. Big Short, Foxcatcher, Vice coming up. You have a wider range with Steve Carell because he's more than just physical comedy. He has experience in ensemble. He can do stuff on his own. He's just a better choice because he has a wider range.
Woo! This one's a good one. So we're gonna start off with Jake. Jake.
But didn't he get to go an extra time than me?
No, because he has to repeat the question. So that's what it was. So.
Oh, so he got to talk and then repeat the question and talk again?
No, he didn't talk. He was before he said even.
He asked the question first and then he.
Before he even started.
It was for majority of the round. It was really, really close. It was really it came down to me at least the closing arguments, and Jen really dragged it with the. I really pushed it with the Eternal Sunshine dramatic performance. I thought that was good, but you both kind of forgot the point of it being a first-time director. I mean, that just showed a dramatic performance. But this is about directing, and I think slightly Brooklyn proved that Carell has more experiences in ensembles and a dramatic performance, and filmmaking is a collaborative effort that is an ensemble. So I have to go with Brooklyn. Slight edge.
Okay. Cody?
Yeah, when you tried to restructure the question, I had to throw out the entire opening because it was actor-based, and then we went back to it, and it was actor-based. So on the question, both did not hit the point. Brooklyn was just able to act. If we're going now having to switch it to actor, pretty much how it turned out to be, I have to give it to Brooklyn because he mentioned more about and took down Jim Carrey more. So I have to give it to Brooklyn.
All right, so without me getting a choice, we are going to question number 3 in the off the cuff and 7 total. So just real quick, that was really close for me. I guess if I had to decide, I probably would have gone Brooklyn as well, just because the examples of backing up why he would probably be a good director choice. Like if you were to like take a hunch on an actor, based on Brooklyn's argument, you would probably go on that. I feel like Jen had a easier path, but I feel like she just missed the mark just a tad. So we're going off the cuff, and this one's fun. Last question. This is a either or, so yell out whenever you're ready. Are we ready? Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees?
Michael Myers.
Oh God. That's tough because I heard him at the same time, but Jen was louder, so it's like I don't know. I'm gonna let my.
That was insane.
I said Michael
That was
Myers. He said
insane.
Myers.
I
said
they
Michael
at the
Myers.
exact same time.
Yeah.
That was in sync. I don't know how
I
you're
say
going to be able to determine it.
We could just choose another question because I think it was way too close for me to at least choose one or the other.
That was way too hard. Even if she was louder, I heard Brooklyn finish. They were finished the exact same time.
Okay. Then here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do it again, but this time, just like in trivia for the face-off, A and B. Jen, you're gonna be A. Brooklyn, you're gonna be B. Cool?
Okay.
Because it's hard to judge. We don't have replay right now, so you're gonna yell out your answer and then pick who you're picking first, so that you get first option. So I want to hear your letter first.
So you want us to yeah, okay.
The letter.
Okay.
The letter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And wait until the last part. So when I finish the sentence, wait to yell. Okay. So this is based on just yelling. So I mean, hey, this is all we can do at this point because that first one was so good. Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees?
Wait, we're doing the same exact question?
Yeah, I was giving you a chance to redo it. Now you're yelling out because you guys both wanted the same thing. So I don't have another question, ready?
That doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Okay, whatever. Just give it to him.
Hold on.
I thought we were pulling up a new question because otherwise you just yell A.
I will also take a new question.
All right, we'll take a new question because I don't know.
Because who is going to argue Jason Voorhees?
All right. All right. This is an open-ended question. I'm leaving that in there because trial and error, all that stuff. So figure it out. This is an open-ended question, so yell out your answer first.
Okay.
With Hunter Killer coming out, what is the best Gerard Butler movie?
300.
Yes, I love you.
Oh my god.
All right.
What was Brooklyn? P.S. P.S. I love you.
P.S. for Brooklyn.
P.S. I love you.
300 for Jen.
Okay.
This is going to be based on the arguments. This is going
to
to be based on the arguments. Jen, you win first. 30 seconds when you're ready.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay, so 300 is a visually stunning comic book adaptation, and Gerard Butler is the driving force that really makes it memorable. This is the one time where all this machismo that he brings with his Scottish accent to a film actually works for some reason, even though he's playing a Roman. But this is one of Zack Snyder's visually appealing films that actually has a lot to say in terms of its message and its tone and its story, and it's one of the few times where it works. So Gerard Butler is the star of this film.
All right, and P.S. Brooklyn, you're up, so 30 seconds when you're ready.
While my opponent is most definitely going to tackle Gerard Butler's accent in the rebuttal round, at least Gerard attempted an accent in P.S. I Love You, where at 300 he just played himself in a masculine heavy movie. P.S. I Love You is a great love story about Gerard Butler and Hilary Swank, and it's appealing to both male and females. It is not a cinematography masterpiece like 300 is, but it has script, it has story, it has love, and who doesn't like love?
And
300 is not love.
All right, final. This is the official. The final 15 seconds for Jen. So end on a bang.
P.S. I Love You is a lower tier romantic comedy in which Gerard Butler is barely in it because
That's good timing.
the romance and free between him and Lena Headey is really good. So, did you say time? I couldn't hear you.
No, that was sorry, talking a lot. All right, I actually heard what you said. I was able to get the context, so I got your point. I was able to put it together.
I had more.
You eventually got time, but I was just letting you know that I heard what you said, so you didn't waste your time.
Oh, I thought you said time, so I stopped. So that's
No, because you froze, and then I said, that was perfect
sorry,
timing, and then when you came back, I could tell what you were saying, so I was able to piece it together. So hopefully my co-judges were. I can't speak for them, but I have to just be fair to Brooklyn and go with what it was. So Brooklyn, your final 15 seconds for the debate when you're ready.
This is one of the best romantic comedies ever without Gerard Butler's character not actually being alive in the film. He dies early on in the film, and you have Hilary Swank's struggle of she's struggling with the love that she has for Gerard Butler's character. And I mean, who doesn't love Galway Girl?
All right. I'm going to go first just to make it fair for Jen with her issues. I don't know if my judge got this point, but I'm gonna reiterate what she said. The fact that she said that the relationship in 300 with Gerard Butler and Lena Headey is more, or Headey, whoever you're asking,
Headley
is more important and interesting than in an actual movie about a romance. Plus the fact that she backed it up with the actual concept of the movie being better. I feel like I'm gonna give it to Jen. So use your own arguments, but I was just saying there. So Cody, what do you got?
Best romantic comedy of all time.
Based on the arguments, he
I know
he said it. He said it, and it didn't get knocked down. So
true.
I
God,
can just throw things out there too.
Sometimes
I feel like if I don't vote for Brooklyn, it's going to be a bias, but I have to give it to Jen as well because I think Jen tackled the better movie and had a huge point with the better love story in the small parts they're in than what P.S. I Love You, and all you just said, who doesn't love love? Love.
All right, so apparently, P.U. I don't love you. Oh my God, Jake, would you have agreed with us?
Yeah, as much as I love Brooklyn's closing argument, it's the greatest love story ever. Yeah, I generally had it in the opening with Butler as the driving force of the movie, and she didn't have to, but she mentioned the other parts of the movie, the visuals, and it's one of Snyder's more competent films. And yeah, P.S. I Love You is a generic romantic comedy that was not rebutted by Brooklyn, other than it's the best romance movie of all time.
He's like, no,
it's
it's
not.
not.
And also, it's Heady, it's Heady, not
It's
Heady.
Heady, yeah.
Yeah, well, we like to have fun with it.
It looks like Heady, but I had to point that out.
All right, so
can we redo that round with my wife here, because she that's her favorite movie of all time, and I actually refuse to watch this.
I haven't made it through that whole thing. I can't.
Well, you guys.
I watched maybe the first 5 minutes, and I'm like, nope, I'll go do something else.
Did you just completely blank on other Gerard Butler movies?
No, I was like, which one can I argue the best? And I'm like, Sue loves this movie all the time, so I'll try and at least
went Law-Abiding Citizen. At least some people.
I really like Olympus Has Fallen. I don't care. I really like it.
Tomb Raider 2, Cradle of Life.
You could have won Den of Thieves from this year even, because it actually made him interesting in a piece of garbage way. But with that being said, Jen, you have a win under your belt, and this was, I don't know what to say. I really appreciate your passion. The fact that you got angry at me on a couple of the calls, and I could tell in your tone, you're like, you better not screw this up. And the fact that Brooklyn was angry from jump because he already knew that Jen came out the gate swinging, and hey, people don't like to get punched. Brooklyn got punched, but he came back, and he was able to moneyball it, but he didn't win the championship. Jen, how do you feel?
I feel good, and I want people
That's
to
a
watch
callback.
A Bucket of Blood. It is not just about a bucket of blood.
And even if it is,
It's a
who
good
cares? 'Cause
film.
it's not false advertisement. It's called A Bucket of Blood. So you got a bucket. I couldn't say that in my judging, but when I heard Brooklyn say that, he was like, "That's false advertising." Like, it title's literally
It's
called
not.
A Bucket of Blood, not buckets of blood. A Bucket of Blood, so it's not. But I couldn't
Anyway,
be biased.
good
I couldn't
film.
bring
Go
that
see
up
the
until
film.
now. Brooklyn, you, like I said, you had your back against the wall, but you did a fantastic job. You showed that Jen. I think you brought this out of Jen, and I appreciate that because this was an entertaining debate to judge and to just be an audience of. So, how do you feel?
Holy crap! This is probably like the strongest debate I've ever had. I mean, like this is the first one that I've lost. But yeah, like props to Jen. She got me in that chef one. I thought I had that in the bag, but I did not do enough prep time, and yeah, I guess
You need a sous chef.
I need to watch Collateral. I need to watch In Bruges.
We established your watch list, guy.
Yeah, I have a watch list like already yay long. And I mean Cody's gonna be Cody. Like he Red Sox fans have to stay united. So I'm not surprised that I lost.
So you had one judge who's a Red Sox fan with another Red Sox fan. You had two members of Confidential Cinema with another member. You were just you weren't destined to win this.
Yeah. My back is against me. Typical Americans and international fellows going against Canadians.
Jake, are you gonna
Hey,
take
you
that?
said Major League wasn't funny, so I'm really mad at you.
You can't spell AUS without USA. So
With that being said, this was another fantastic debate, our third in Confidential Debates, and it just shows that you structure well, you have some great fighters, and you have some great concepts of judging and the actual art of debate. You're going to have a great show. So if you made it this far into the show, you actually believe me and you agree. So give us a like and comment below. Once, as always, who won each debate? Were we crazy with our picks? How better should they have supported their arguments? So on and so on. So we need to get these views up, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because we're having fun. So thank you, all three of you watching this, and it's probably me editing it and accidentally clicking the view. So thank you to Henry Confidential for watching. Henry Confidential's Confidential Cinema Confidential Debates. Bye.